Hey guys, welcome to Driveway Liberty Podcast. Sorry we're running a little late. We had some last minute content that we wanted to put together for you guys, but I am your Uncle Wes, and we're sitting here with my good friends Travis and Dan. What's up, fellas?
Enjoying life. My son made his debut last night on the mound for the first time this year. He's been out with an injury, and he did quite well. 4 shutout innings, 1 hit ball,
Right.
5 strikeouts, no walks.
There you go. That's good.
Yep.
Killing it.
Had 2 base runners, so
You
one
got-
error and one.
Got just
single.
enough time to get in the groove right before the playoffs.
That's exactly, and he threw with the same velocity that he did pre-injury. So
Well, that's good.
everything's kind of back to normal. He looked exactly the same as he did last year and the year before. So.
Hell yeah.
You know, it's amazing when you're 17 years old how quickly your body recovers.
We were just talking about,
Dude.
like, I was talking to Elaine about my Achilles. I'm like, it's almost a year now, and the shit still isn't
Listen,
right.
so-
if it ever will be.
So Saturday, actually, let's go back. I took a few days off last week. Before the podcast last Wednesday, my wife got a light fixture for Christmas, and I said, you know what, I got a couple hours. I'll just change this light fixture up.
Right.
Fast forward to Saturday when I'm doing sheetrock work and all this stuff, okay? And the way our bathroom is positioned, what I was having to do was stand on with my right foot on a ladder and my left foot on the bathroom vanity because I had to redo all the sheetrock because I screwed it up.
Right.
And then wire everything and paint it and do like just a million things, right?
Yeah.
So Saturday night I was like, whew, I'm tired, a little sore. Boy, Sunday,
You were hurting.
ooh, man, I woke up and Brooklyn and Amelia both had to work, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to church on my own. And then I got up and started moving around a little bit, and I'm like, you know what?
I'm going to stay here and pray.
Destiny Worship Center sure does live streams. I sat on the couch with my cup of coffee and the dogs, and got me some Jesus on the couch.
There you go.
Was not about to walk.
I'm really ashamed of myself over the weekend, man. Because April works Sunday through Tuesday, so we had an Easter meal Saturday. But dude, I went out and I always sneak out and I get the daughter a little something for her Easter basket kind of thing, or April does, one or the other. And we had gotten her some chocolate and stuff. You know, she's 15. We're not buying a bunch of little frou-frou stuff like we used to. But man, I got up, I go sit on the couch, and I'm just sitting there watching. I didn't even remember to get up and go to church. I just forgot about all of it. And then Savannah gets up and she walks in there and she said, "Happy Easter, Dad." I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even do Easter Bunny. Hold on, baby.
Well, for like the whole week, Brooklyn had been sending me stuff about wanting an Easter basket, wanting an Easter basket. Now, when we were doing the travel volleyball, a lot of times we would end up in Atlanta on Easter weekend
Right.
for one of the big qualifying 3-day national tournaments.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And we would always take stuff with us for her to have a little Easter basket.
Yeah.
And so when she got up Sunday before she went to work at the biscuit company joint, she was like, "Oh, okay," and she's like, "Oh, you guys got me an Easter basket? You haven't got me one of those in a long time." I'm like, "Because we've been in a hotel and we made sure you got something for Easter every year."
Right.
Like, just ungrateful,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
ungrateful. And we made sure you got
Exactly.
something for
Well,
Easter
we want to thank
every
each
year.
and every one of you
Right?
in
Like,
advance for
just
going ahead and
ungrateful.
sharing the podcast
Oh,
with
yeah.
your friends and family.
Ungrateful.
That's
And we made
exactly
sure
what
you
I'm
got
doing.
something
Well,
right
we want to thank
every
each and
year.
every and drop a little share. I've already shared a little bit on the face page, book, and so y'all share it up with your friends because we are in fact shadow banned. Except apparently Dan's not anymore.
I have escaped. My backup account apparently is not shadow banned, so I have been involved in some very interesting conversations.
I bet he'll be shadow banned next week.
No, this one,
Where at on Twitter? On your personal page?
Yeah, because I can't log in on here.
Yeah, you're
on
You good?
if you want to grab it and throw it on the DLP page, that'd be cool. That'd be super cool.
yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, man. Sorry.
I'm keeping it. It's really just kind of comments and stuff. I'm not insulting people like I was on my other one.
Well, that's nice of you, Dan.
Well, I just, every time when somebody says something stupid, I usually just tell them that they said something stupid and that they are stupid. But
Yep. Well,
and then cite all the information that makes them stupid. But in this one, I'm just citing the information.
I got you. Cool. Well, we've got an exciting show for you tonight. I don't know, Trav. We didn't give you an order of videos here, buddy.
That's all right.
But I think we're going to start with our good friend, the Dalai Lama.
Oh, gross.
The whatever that's in our group thread on Twitter.
It's the CNN video. I said it.
Yeah.
So
all right, got it.
let me know when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
One of the most admired spiritual leaders in the world issues an apology after a video goes viral showing the Dalai Lama asking a young boy to suck his tongue.
You got the circle of death.
And suck my tongue.
That's
We'll have much more on all of that ahead. Now we have to get to this peculiar
No, I
story.
can't either, man.
The
That's
Dalai
gross.
Lama asked a young boy to
And
suck
this
his
chick's
tongue.
about to defend it.
And it's caught on video. My panel's going to tackle this next, whether they want to or
She's
not.
running a little soft on it.
You got me.
The Dalai Lama, the Tibetan spiritual leader, is
should
apologizing
have. I'm
after
showing
a
up. We've got a
video
media
shows
thing
him
going
kissing
here.
a young boy on the mouth at a spiritual
Calm
service
down.
in India and then asking the boy to suck his tongue.
Well, I guess our viewers.
Then I think finally here also. And suck my tongue.
Well, it's legal. Ooh, man, what's up with the Dalai Lama, dude? That's some crazy crap.
The defense that this psycho on CNN put up was that in Tibetan culture, that's considered playfulness. It's like not sexual at all, and it's like
I've yet to see a defense of that anywhere.
that's where it is. That's literally where it is on CNN.
Yeah, that's.
And just look at the body language of that kid when he said that.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the raw video. That blurred out the kid's face. I saw the raw video that showed the kid's face.
Oh, he
He was freaking out.
Yeah, he
And
was
the kid
weirded
was
out.
like,
When you and this supposed
and he
to be
did, and he was very hesitant. He didn't want to do it.
in that culture supposed to be the enlightened one, God on earth, or the ultimate in enlightenment.
How was that enlightening?
Man, dude, really?
I-
Yeah.
Apparently, they don't. In Tibet, they don't kiss.
So,
You know, they don't use their tongue for anything other than playing around with kids and eating.
why do you guys think this guy's on CNN defending this? Like, that's just not normal. That wouldn't have happened 10 years ago.
It's part of the whole grooming process.
Grooming, pedophiles, knock yourself out.
Especially if this is something that the Dalai Lama has done throughout time.
Well, apparently this guy is very enamored with the Dalai Lama, and he talks so many wonderful things about him. And it's like, dude, you're a
No.
commentator for CNN.
No,
Move to
man.
Tibet
Yeah,
if you're that excited about it.
I mean, I understand, you could have been like, maybe we don't understand their culture. However, that's still a little weird.
I'm like, culture or not, I'm ready to roll up the wood chipper.
No, I agree with you. But if you were going to try to defend the Dalai Lama, you could say, hey, maybe we don't understand the culture. This, little odd behavior, but, like you could find ways outside of just making this like, oh, this is totally normal. Like, yeah, it's totally normal for little kids to suck on the tongues of grown men in
Yeah.
Tibet.
Disgusting looking old man.
Yeah,
It's
like in front of, and here's my issue. That wasn't like a little slip. Like, that was in front of a lot of people. In a very
on
public
camera.
setting.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I along those lines of grooming kids and all of this deviant sexual culture that's going on. I am actually somewhat enthused to see that as of today, Anheuser-Busch has lost $5 billion in market cap since last week.
oh yeah. Tell you what, when I was stopping to grab beer on the way here, you get you a 24 pack of Bud Light for like $16.99.
Yeah, that should be that'll be like old Milwaukee's Best back in the day. You can get a case for $5 before long.
Uh-huh. You know, I was really hoping during the pandemic that would happen to Corona, that people wouldn't buy Corona.
Yeah.
Because it was called coronavirus. And I actually like Corona, so I was like, oh, jackpot, I'm going to buy up a ton of cheap Corona. And it never happened. It never happened. But, yeah, one of the things, and I've heard a few people, kind of in the conservative sphere talk about is to me, that is the best example of, we talk about, we want to operate under capitalist rules.
Right.
Of, well, if I'm the director of marketing for Bud Light, I need to go market to a bunch of freaking rednecks.
Yeah.
Because that's who drinks Bud Light.
Well, your job is to sell more Bud
Sell
Light.
more beer. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need pickup trucks and mullets and dipping.
Theoretically, according to us, your job is to sell more beer.
Well, you talked about capitalism, and that's just the way it should be.
But what that chick is doing, she's evangelized.
Yes, that's exactly
well,
what
you know
they're
why?
doing.
So there's a LGBT lobbying group that is out there that has their own scoring index. It's called the Corporate Equality Index, CEI.
Yeah.
And they're basically putting companies on notice. Putting companies on notice that if they don't incorporate the LGBT jihad's version of what they want America to be, they score them less. And that scoring is actually what drives the S in their ESG scores.
Right.
So they're hitting them on two fronts. Number one, this lobby group's apparently pretty powerful. So they're forcing these corporations to work their agenda.
Right.
And then, and I'm talking about from a marketing standpoint, from a hiring standpoint, from a board makeup standpoint, everything down. Mm-hmm. These people are driving these corporations to do these things. And we've seen it all over the spectrum. And then, so the goal that these people shout out the companies that have the perfect score is 100.
Yeah.
So there's the top companies that have the 100 score are Walmart, Amazon, Apple, and Google.
How does Walmart? Okay.
I think Walmart doesn't do it through advertising. They do it through their corporate makeup and
hiring practices,
etc.
Like,
and then probably some HR policies they put in place in the company. Those kind of things all factor into this. We just see.
You want to chop your wee-wee off?
We just see a psycho on a beer can acting nothing like a woman.
Right.
Like a freaking maniac running around.
Well,
we see that, and that's what.
I'm surprised Disney's not rated higher on that scale.
Well, they're not perfect. I don't have a list of everybody's scores.
Well, and
I mean in the top.
That person, the transgender person on the Bud Light can, Nike, Oil of Olay,
Ulta.
Oh yeah, the four I stated are the biggest companies that have a perfect rating. I'm sure there's plenty of these companies that are in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it, I always wondered what it would be like to live through the Crusades. I mean this is a religion. Mm-hmm. I mean it is not. This is not an ideology. This is not some random beliefs. This is a religion.
Well, in the absence of, we are becoming less and less of a Christian, God involved in our society.
Right. Theistic society.
Yeah. In the world, across the world, not just in the United States.
No, Christianity is and we'll talk about this on the audio cast, but Christians are the enemy now.
Well, when you take, see that a mistake that people make is they think that atheists are absent religion.
Right.
Right.
And they're not. this just they themselves replace God as religion.
Right.
And then these people who think the same way become deities in their mindset. So
Sure.
even though it doesn't function like what we know of as a religious organization, the way they prophesize and the way they do things is exactly like a religion.
Sure.
And that's their religion.
Well, and I think this is why on our side, and I've heard it, I've said it, and we've talked about it openly on this podcast a lot. Like, if it is just in your own bedroom, I still to this day don't care.
I don't either. It's
However,
just like,
we fooled ourselves into thinking it's never going to leave there.
Well, the
Or that
slippery
those-
slope is real.
or that those people were not going to. You're not if you are engaged in non-marital reproductive sexual behavior. Okay, I truly believe innately that something's not right. Right, it's a
Sure.
reason. Like I used to deer hunt a lot. I never in the rut saw a buck chase another buck.
no,
Now I saw a lot of bucks that chase does right to their death.
yeah,
Okay, and they're trying to reproduce. That's all they can think about. And so that is just innate in nature.
right,
And so I think so many, like, we thought, okay, well, you know what, whatever, get married, have your hospital rights. Why don't you just keep it in your bed? Don't force it on us. And I don't think that's possible because these people want an acceptance level that we were never going to
I don't
agree
think
to.
there is a satisfaction in acceptance.
Right.
Now, that being said, there are a lot of people on the LGB side of the alphabet soup who are like, what the fuck's going on?
No,
These
I
guys
agree.
are making us look bad. They're killing our movement.
Right, and I think there's a lot of folks that would fall into it. But again, like we've talked about many times also, is we have fooled ourselves into thinking a majority matters. Majority doesn't mean crap. If you've got a committed minority, which I truly believe on the whole whatever spectrum, the 2 plus L, S, J, Q, all that spectrum, it's a very small minority that is, I mean, one of my wife's best friends in Panama City Beach, he is as conservative as we are, and he's got a boyfriend. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? He never brings it up. Like, it's not a big deal.
No.
Like
Brian Cloudis, I mean...
yeah, I mean, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, and we can live in that kind of society. I can disagree,
Right?
but, the problem I have with it, and I really thought about it over the weekend as I was redoing sheetrock. I had lots of time to think about how much of a dumbass I was. But, my third trip to Ace Hardware in Miramar, which I know that's customer years less,
Yep.
so I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah, there you go.
Trust me, I've rebought the same stuff twice and then had to go back a third time. But, crap, now I lost my thought trying to give your customer a shout out.
No, I appreciate it.
Right. Oh no. What I was going to say is like the gay and lesbian, bisexual stuff. I understand sexual urges, right? And I think that's a sexuality issue, right? And I assure you, as a matter of fact, I was driving down 38 a day through Seaside, and some not healthy sexual urges came to my head, right?
Yeah.
As a married man,
Right.
all right. So I understand that side of it. What I don't understand, and when we get into the transgender and all this other stuff, we start running into, you're asking me to take reality and set reality to the side.
Yeah.
Like,
When you can't accept your reality.
correct.
That's exactly what's going on. And yeah, it's so dude, it's troublesome to me to sit here and watch because these people need help. They legitimately
Agreed.
need
you
help.
watch Dylan Mulvaney act, and this isn't just for the Bud Light commercials. He's got a YouTube channel,
No, that's how he got famous.
and literally acts like a crazy person on it. Just did you see we may have shown that Price is Right video or
Yeah. Well,
Whatever it
no,
was.
yeah. I think I
jumping
sent
all
it
over
to
the
you.
place like
No,
some kind
I-
of maniac. That's
Well,
not.
the person clearly has attention issues, and if you watch the progression over the years of that person, it was only like, maybe I'm gay, maybe I'm this, and then something comes up of I question my gender or whatever, and the views skyrocket, and it only gets worse from there. Like I truly believe it's a completely
So it's a
made up
performance
personality
kind of thing.
performance to get social media likes.
Well, I think it's a attention seeking deficit, where at some point in their life they realized I can act differently and get the attention that I want. And look, you know what? I'm a musician. I love attention. I mean, I do shit for attention sometimes. The jokes I tell on social media, I do that because other people
part
laugh
of your
at this.
performance art. I mean,
Yeah, it is. But and I may not do that healthfully all the time, but there's a point where I sit back and I question, all right, I posted something this morning. I probably shouldn't post something else today.
Right, but
and I'm not sitting on the toilet like Dan posting 487 memes.
But you're relatively normal, somewhat well-adjusted.
Somewhat well-adjusted.
And you have a purpose and meaning in life. You have a family. You have a daughter.
Yeah.
To me, this is what the younger generation is missing: is a purpose and a meaning. Their life is so easy.
And we also live in a generation where people who get people to watch them on YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is, make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
We got people that live very close to us that play video games online that are millionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Multi-millionaires.
like they're buying $5 million homes to tear them down to build a $9 million home. I mean, that's, and it's just from the money they're making on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, part and parcel of this is, so we talk about this being a religion, and in some...
Well, there's different factions of it.
There are different factions of it, but it's the propaganda that goes along with it, and this Elon video...
Well,
is...
Hold on, before we do that,
okay.
The best I heard it described was this movement and the different factions of this whatever religion, whether it's climate change or the trans stuff or, the racist stuff or what all... It's basically neo-Protestantism.
Yeah.
You got Baptists, you got Episcopalians, you got Lutherans, you got Methodists, you got all all these that are still all in that Protestant, kind of generalized area, but they all are slightly different.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if the Catholics want to roll, we would probably all check up and take down the Catholics.
But they're the antithesis to Westboro Baptist Church is what they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what they are. But man, I don't know. I sit back and I'm thinking, I understand why old people are ready to check out when they're ready to check out, because I'm at a point where, holy shit, I'm hurting because I've got arthritis issues over the last week, and I'm looking at the world saying, what the fuck, like every 5 minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know that I want to be here, but I also have a daughter that I'm still prepping for adulthood. So I got to stick around.
That's what it's about. Yeah.
Not that I'm planning, not that I'm talking about ending it myself, but I'm just saying, oh Lord, take me home when you're ready.
Well, it's like the old joke: why do husbands die before wives? Because they want to.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's kind of where you're going.
It's like, we're done, man. We're out. So let's move on to this Elon Musk video. I thought this was pretty good. You ready?
Yep.
And go.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content, and I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
you
don't.
Can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore. Because I just don't particularly like it.
But you
and
said
actually, a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second.
following.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
then how did you see that hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet, and yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
No, what I
You
claimed...
just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organizations that say that that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my
Give me
feed
one
or
example.
not... I mean, right, and
Literally
you can
can't
look at
name
something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK. They will say that. So
Look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a
Right.
single example, and you can't name one.
Right, and as I already said, I don't use that feed. But
Well, then how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
That's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know there's hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's funny thing about that dude just showed up at the headquarters there at X. Now it's not Twitter anymore.
Right, X Corp.
X Corp. And and Elon granted him an interview. And so this guy sits down and thinks he's going to trap him with this. And these fallacious arguments. Fallacious is not really.
Well, it's a
the
running
word.
narrative.
It's a fallacy.
It's a running narrative that people have said since
Well,
Elon took
Well,
over.
it's
Speaking
circular
of-
reasoning.
it's
It's circular reasoning. And when you can eventually back the circular reasoning into a corner, there's nothing there.
Well, no, absolutely not. He called him on his bullshit. He walks in and he says, well, it's all this, what do you say, somewhat racist and somewhat sexist.
Well, he said
Somewhat
there's an
sexist, somewhat misogynist.
increased amount of hateful content on Twitter since he took over.
I've
That's
actually,
narrative.
the only hateful content I have ever seen on Twitter has been from the left.
And Elon asked him, well, what's hateful content? And that's when he said,
Somewhat
slightly sexist,
Slightly, yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And then
He
all
said
he's doing
name
is
call.
clarifying. Elon's trying to clarify, okay, you tell me this has happened. What does that look like? What does that mean this is happening?
Yeah, you're sitting down with the owner. If you don't like what you're seeing, tell him. If there's anybody that can fix it.
He's the one.
Yeah.
And if he sees something legitimately wrong with something, he's got a proven history of fixing it.
But the
absolutely.
problem is it's not real. It doesn't exist. It's a made-up thing because that's a way for people to attack Elon because he's not doing what they want him to do.
Well,
No, what he's doing is he's allowing other voices to be heard,
Yes.
except mine.
It was their
I'm-
echo chamber
I'm
that
still
they
shadow
owned,
banned.
and he got rid of a lot of that, and that pissed him off. So now they're just saying bad things about Elon that have no factual basis.
right.
And this guy comes in and asks him about it, and he gets called on.
Well, the problem in what Elon did there was pretty brilliant, where he just kind of backed him into a corner.
Yeah.
But when you're one of the smartest and richest guys on earth, that's how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But like so many times, and we've talked about this, like if you go into one of these conversations with this clearly leftist reporter, who's clearly that's not a bias, that's an agenda they have.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and you push them on it, but if you go into it and you try to use logic and reason and then defend yourself, like you've lost immediately.
So what you have to do is attack their argument immediately. Like
Yeah.
I've gotten a conversation this morning, and the word greed came up, and I don't fault this person that brought it up, but that's like the third conversation this week that word has come up, and it's becoming a pet peeve of mine. Because greed has become, and it is biblically a negative connotation.
You're
It's a
talking like
negative
corporate
word.
profits.
They're
and-
talking about corporate profit.
Gas prices are high because of greed.
But making as much money as possible is not greed.
No. Greed is
shows-
when you hurt others by making that money.
Right.
But what I did is I said, will you define greed? And I probably picked on her unduly, but I said, what does greed mean to you? And she's like, well, it's just, and then she pulls up the biblical definition. I said, well, yeah, that's exactly what greed is. Now, anybody that you've discussed so far, do they fit that definition? Now, if we want to talk about greed, we can talk about the left and their greed and coveting of power.
Yeah.
And their coveting of hushing critics and things of that nature. But it also goes back to the whole evil corporation thing. That always bothered me. I'm like, at what point does a small business or a business, period. It doesn't even have to be small, become an evil corporation.
Well,
because
I think Pfizer we can make a good case for, but
right.
Yeah,
Well,
when they,
but
when
there's
they get
certain
in bed with the government. that's
certain
when-
certain parameters there that we can assign to a business.
yeah.
But the thing is we use these blanket statements like this reporter did with Elon, where we say, well, you know, Twitter's gotten more racist, it's gotten more sexist, it's gotten more misogynistic. Really? Give me an example.
Yeah.
And that's what you do when somebody makes these blanket ass arguments like this. The whole thing, like, I'm not, you know how I feel about Trump. I've talked about that 100 times here, and we'll talk about him joining up with Newsome to run in 2024 here in a minute. But I'll defend him if somebody just makes a blanket statement about him. I'll defend anybody.
Well, you're not defending him. You're defending the against the BS.
Right, right.
Well, you know, it was one of the Friday. There was a beach volleyball match out on Grayton Beach, so we were out there, right? And I think you text because I think you played at Reds.
Yeah.
And so two of our friends, which you guys know, and I don't have to say the names, but they vote differently than we do.
Yeah.
And the subject of the whole Raleigh Gaines thing came up.
Uh-huh.
And so I made very sure, and I've had multiple conversations with both of them one-on-one about the transgender stuff.
Yeah.
And I've put it like this. I think these people clearly have a mental issue that we need as a society to address. However, we don't need to change society for their mental issue. We don't change society for someone that has an anxiety problem.
Right.
We don't change society for someone that wants to chop their left hand off.
Nope.
Okay, these people are created in the image of God. I care deeply about them, and I don't want them to hurt anymore.
Right.
So I've already laid out that, hey, look, it's not personal against them. So when the Raleigh Gaines stuff came up, I said, so why do you think people are so upset that one of the most successful female athletes ever, and both of them have daughters that are athletes, so let's just say this is your daughter. Why are they so upset of saying, hey, we should only be competing against women. We should only be changing in locker rooms with women.
Yeah.
So why do you think, and so I put it on them to go through the thought exercise. Why do you think those people were so upset? And there wasn't a good answer. And I said, look, no matter what I believe, I fully believe that if I had an 18-year-old boy, and I used the example of this one has a son, I said, your son's 18-year-old, your high school lacrosse team, if you were going to move your house, would you choose the high school lacrosse team or the beach volleyball team? Well, the lacrosse team. Why? Well, it's all dudes. Why? And you just start like, hey, let's think through this, right? And so I, not that either one of them has been like so pro, but I wanted them to really come to that, like, hey,
well, and that's
like,
what
hey,
you
let's
have
this
to
thought
do.
Process.
You don't sit there and defend your position. You question theirs. And by questioning theirs, you're not only spawning thought, you're allowing them to reach their own logical conclusions, but you're making them think, and you're not attacking the opposition in doing that. You're saying, like with the greed question, or with, why are you okay as a woman? Just explain to me, how are you okay as a woman with the Canadian national women's weightlifting champion record holder being a dude, the NCAA swimming
and
champion,
especially as an old school feminist, like,
right?
How could you possibly like
this?
Like the men in sports thing, the trans dudes in sports thing, like that is the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing you've been active against is you're actually
that is the
promoting.
patriarchy.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Wasn't it a trans chick that got most beautiful woman in the world, or Miss America, or some shit like that, Miss Universe? I'm like, look, you were mad at dudes for a glass ceiling, and you couldn't compete. Dudes are chopping their wieners off to compete with you, and still have.
Well, I mean, and
base
some of them aren't even doing chopping their wieners off. Just growing their hair.
Those kind of tactics are good with your friends and acquaintances.
Well, no,
those
it's
kind
in real life. It's
actually,
not good
I
on
find
Twitter.
I find
it's good on real life.
It's not a tactic that works with somebody who is grabbing somebody by the throat and wants to beat them up because they're.
No.
I wasn't in that situation.
And I'm not saying you were.
We weren't insinuating that
But you're
that's the
talking
time
about,
to do that.
No, and I'm not saying you are.
You punch that chick in the nuts is what you did.
Well, you've seen that video of the guy with the sandwich board.
Yeah.
That
billboard, Chris. Yeah.
The tranny grabbed him by the throat and threw him down in front of the cops, and the cops said he started it.
Get the hell out of Canada for all of our Canadian listeners
Yes.
and viewers, please.
Get out. Get out.
They're already segmenting them like the Hunger Games in Canada.
Yep.
They can't leave their own districts.
All right. Hey, I know we started late, and I think we're a little bit late, but you guys know what time it is.
It is beer review time. And hold on. Hold on. I got a little something.
Travis needs a
It is time for beer reviews. Beer reviews. Beer reviews.
All right, guys, it is time for beer reviews. Let's, what'd you say?
Yummy.
All right, let's go to Dan, since he's excited about what
I
he's
have
got
an
to say.
exciting new announcement to make tonight. I've been extremely busy, so I'm drinking England.
There you go. So, Trav, what you got, buddy?
So, I've got a very local, not in our county, but it's actually probably closer as the crow flies.
Hyper local, yeah.
Yeah. Then the but made over on Mountain Drive in Destin.
Okay.
It is the Destin Brewery East Pass.
Oh
IPA.
Man, yeah, that's a good one.
Good beer.
That's a good beer. Let me read. I thought this is an easy drinking IPA with notes of citrus and pine, sweetened by a touch of local Destin honey. With a light nose and a slender body, this is Destin's IPA. I don't know what a light nose means, but
I don't know. That sounds like something you might
But
see
you know
in
what?
AJ's bathroom on a Saturday night.
yeah, that's true. But you know what? For an IPA, it is not hoppy at all.
No, it's a very light. I mean, that's one you could drink on the beach. And really, I've found myself when I go to the place that I am now the mayor of again. I will. That's my go-to when I go in there.
Well, and for those of you that don't know, a little quick lesson: East Pass. So there's only, when I moved out here, I thought, oh, you just get a boat and you just go out in the Gulf. Well, there's a pass in Destin and there's a pass in Panama City Beach. There ain't anywhere in between. So the East Pass is the pass out of the bay into the Gulf. It's actually one of the more dangerous passes in the country.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, the currents that run through there, man,
God, it's insane.
It's crazy. It'll beat you to death.
And the chop, oh my God.
I shot a
the
video.
First Saturday, I went out a couple years ago, the first Saturday of snapper season, and inside the Destin Pass, I bet you it was 10-foot waves. There was so many boats churning in.
I used to have a client that was a pontoon. They rented pontoon boats. They've sold the business and moved out of country now. But we were shooting a video for them out on, we were doing Crab Island. It was an all-day shoot. We were shooting the videos, and we're going out to
Were
grab
you doing
some
the
of
actual shooting, or were you doing the drinking while somebody
I
else
was drinking and shooting at the same time. I mean, we were all drinking.
I
But
bet that's a fun video to watch.
yeah, we never aired it. So, but we go.
That tells me the level of drinking versus shooting was way off.
We get out. I mean, we turn towards the pass in one of those pontoon boats because we're also shooting jet ski video.
Right, yeah.
So we needed a little choppier water for the jet ski, and we obviously can't take a pontoon boat out in the Gulf to shoot. But we're probably a couple of 100 yards from the mouth of the pass, man, and we're trying to keep that boat is just rocking, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah, I took turn left out of the harbor one time, and boat kind of did the whole, I think it did that while too many people sitting on the front. And the front.
Front
now,
does that a little bit.
It's a pontoon boat. The thing ain't gonna sink.
Right.
It's either flipping over,
Or you're gonna get wet.
or you're wet. Like it ain't.
Right.
You can't sink those things.
And all your shit's gonna be floating out.
Yeah,
into the
right.
Yeah, your phone's gonna get wet.
But my wife was not happy.
I
I'll put
imagine.
it that way.
I gotcha. So,
Wes, what do you drink?
So it is probably one of my least favorite times of the year. Tax time. And I've been working on taxes all week, and I have made very few trips out of the house. So I'm drinking what I had in the fridge, which is a tasty, non-trans Miller Lite.
I will say this: the memes about Bud Light have been
Epic.
Absolutely. Did you see the guy that had the pre-gay
Yeah,
Miller
he said
Bud
that
Light
too.
for sale? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I know what I got. $46.
Hey, you know, it's funny. We'll put a bow on that, but like as I was listening to this chick who's the senior vice president of marketing for Anheuser, whatever. Like, you know who you need to be the head of marketing for Bud Light? Like just the biggest redneck you can find.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, hey man, we're gonna pay you a lot of money. You just figure out how to sell more Bud Light to more rednecks. Oh, okay.
There you go. All you need.
Stale crackers.
Your job is to gain market share from Nasty Light, Busch Light, and Coors Light.
Like
that's all you need to
what,
do.
Yeah, because you're not a premium beer.
What's your name? Your name's Cooter. Hired.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Oh, you got a 72 Chevy pickup truck. All right. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
You are on board, sir.
Exactly how many vehicles in the yard of your trailer are on blocks? 3? Oh, yeah.
Man, yeah, you got a bonus. Right
we'll
there.
pay to run internet to your trailer.
Right, absolutely.
So you can be on Zoom calls.
Matter of fact, you're getting a brand new pickup truck, too. Brand new pickup truck.
But with the contingency, you have to keep the ones on the blocks. So.
Yeah, you got to keep those there. You need those parts just in
That's
case.
right.
Like, see, I've just never understood. Like, why do you go and find this super highly educated, person from some college indoctrination center?
Well, I told you,
Like,
because they got to have that score now.
Right. I mean, like, just go find some redneck dude. And like, hey, man, just to go sell more Bud Light. Like, done, son.
Man, I got it, dude.
Hold on. Let me call my buddies.
We having a kegger right now.
We'll drive sales up tomorrow.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't. That's not the driving force.
That's
not
not
America anymore.
But it's if the objective is to make your stockholders money.
Yeah, but you can't do that anymore. It's greedy.
So
Come
listen,
on,
right?
listen,
Yeah.
listen. The company I work in involves a lot of truck drivers, and I was talking to someone today who used to work for Anheuser-Busch, now works for the company I work for.
Right.
And I'm like, man, what's going on with the drivers over there that's left there? They're like, dude, like 7 of them have hit me up, see if we're hiring. They're like, they don't want to be delivering those freaking rainbow Bud Light cans. I was like,
That's right.
Oh.
You're walking across the parking lot in freaking the panhandle of Florida.
Right.
With a bunch of rainbow shit on your cans.
Or like,
You got your hat down behind your head
Exactly,
and hiding your face.
So we don't have a video for this, but I'm just going to throw this out here for my friends from Georgia who are Georgia fans. What's up with that coach telling lynching jokes on a phone call that they busted in the video today? Did you hear about that? Yeah. I think there was more than one coach. They were joking about lynching. All right, so it looks like that Trump has dropped a little hint today that he has chosen his running mate. We're going to let you be the judge. This was him on Tucker last night. All right. I have to get it queued up here.
All right, I'm ready.
Here we go.
I used to get along great with him, when I was president. I got along really good, Gavin.
Well, you got along with Gavin Newsom?
I did. I really did. He was always very nice to me. He said the greatest things. He would say things like he's doing a great job. Oh, he was very
About
nice.
you?
About me. That's why I could never hit him, because he was so nice to me.
So, look, man, it looks like Trump's chose his running mate's going to be Gavin Newsom.
Newsom's been in a bunch of red states trying to, talk about how
He's been hitting DeSantis pretty hard, just like Trump has.
Yeah.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Hey,
my
you know what's funny
Yeah.
is if you watch that Trump interview, it's actually really good Trump.
Yeah.
Like they talked a lot about foreign policy, which we've said many times.
Right.
Like,
but nobody's seen that. They've only seen this.
Right. And look, if he had left out when I was president, because his son is married to Gavin Newsom's ex-wife. Right. So clearly, for years, they've had interactions.
But they also cut off the very end of that where he criticized Newsom for how he's running his state.
Right.
I'm not going to show you that.
But no. I mean, he can't full on come out and say he's running with him. So
just leaving hints. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, that interview was good Trump. It was really good Trump. Like it was, if you can keep him off of the middle school nonsense and just on policy, which is where he stayed most of the time on that conversation last night.
Right.
Like he's got really good instincts about what needs to be done. Now, here's where I tend to struggle is, okay, build the wall. That's cool. Well, we don't have a wall built. We just don't. Okay.
Right.
And I understand like this pushback and that pushback. Dude, you're the most powerful person on earth. If you want something, Joe Biden doesn't seem to have an issue with getting stuff done. Barack Obama didn't seem to have an issue. And you know what? If you did push back on either one of those, guess what happened? And you're fired.
Yeah.
And hey, Dan, you want this job? Yeah, I want that job. You gonna build the wall? Yeah, I'll build the wall. Awesome. Hired. Go do it.
Yep.
Hey, Dan, 3 weeks later. Hey, Dan, I don't see any of the wall being built. What's going on? Well, blah, blah. All right, you're fired.
Yep.
Wes, I mean, like.
Wes, do you have 3 cars on blocks in your yard?
Right.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I think he's good at like pointing out the issues. It's the follow through on a lot of this stuff that I've started listening a little bit more to Daniel Horowitz. And Daniel Horowitz, he's not unfair, but he's very tough on Trump.
He's very tough on Republicans.
Republicans in general, but specifically Trump, and a lot of it is about the immigration stuff. And what he says over and over is, Trump nailed it. Like, he understood the problem.
Yeah.
Sure.
However, like he didn't fix much, if anything. And so that's a lot of his feedback is like, the dude gets it, he understands it. When you just get him talking about what are the issues, he's going to be really good on that. However, he's got a record now, and now like these things just didn't get done.
Right.
Like, you clearly were like, and he was pretty spot on about listening to the people around what the issues were. And it was because I think when he first started, it was just all China and economics.
Right.
And then he got on to build the wall and lock her up, and like, okay. And so he's good at finding those things. It's just, I don't know, at least in his first 4 years, if he understood what the problems, how to fix the problems.
Well, and that's something we used to talk about when I was in college studying political science. It really takes a president 2 good years to figure out how shit works. Because what job gives you OJT for the presidency? Gubernatorial job doesn't do that. It's probably the closest thing,
right.
But it doesn't give you the same situation, because even on the state level, yeah, there's some dirty politics and you've got some opposition, but
I think you have
a
a lot
lot friendlier
more
ground.
Well, and I also think you have a lot more power unilateral. Like, DeSantis can go in and remove a prosecutor, a source-backed prosecutor.
Right.
Could you do that as in the executive branch?
No.
I don't know that you could cross over to the judicial branch and do that.
No, the executive branch, no, you can't. I mean, they appoint, and those are lifetime appointments.
Right.
So they're in unless they do something outside of the law that they have to be impeached just like a president or somebody else would be.
So and that's the understanding, and I think we talked about it after the McCarthy thing, right? Just the simple, we focus on, especially on the right, we focus on policy, right? And what are the policies and what are the issues? And as Republicans, and that's what Fox News is talking about. However, there's so many procedural things that you can do to wield power, and that's what they did with Kevin McCarthy, right? It was procedural things that they did that really limited some of the stuff that probably would have gone on. And McCarthy's responded. McCarthy's been pretty solid. Not big on his Ukraine step still. He's been pretty solid as speaker so far. I mean, really nothing's gotten done, and for 3 months, that's the best outcome we can hope for.
So, Kat asked a question. If we've looked into the World Health Organization and Senate Bill 79, I have not, but I told her I would ask you guys if y'all had.
I have not either.
No, I haven't either.
If that is,
and she also said, I wish he'd be good Trump all the time.
Yeah, I honestly, I think a lot of people that struggle with Trump just struggle with the, for lack of a better term, middle school.
Well, it's not only
The
middle
name
school, but
calling.
it's the hypocrisy. It's the hypocrisy. I mean, you think about it. He's come out in the last 2 weeks and he said something really nice about Charlie Crist, and he said something really nice about Gavin Newsom, and yet he turns around and he's calling DeSantis a rhino.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a hypocrisy there. And yes, maybe he did call out Newsom in the rest of that interview.
Right.
But still, he's not calling Newsom names.
But I think to the average American, that they're just tired of the nonsense.
Right.
Like most people are not built like, especially the three of us,
No.
where we just revel in it. Like you know what, like you know.
Look, man, I love a good dumpster fire. There's no doubt
Right.
about it. Yeah.
But most Americans, in conversation I've had with multiple folks, is, hey, look, I get it. They're human beings. I would like someone for my sons to be able to look up to better. Now, I can disagree with that statement, and I could say, well, Barack Obama's not a great human. Like, I can go through the whole list.
Look into politics for that is
Yeah,
a problem.
and I agree, right?
Should
but
be dad.
But I think the facade of somewhat of a statesman, and not just the New York street bully, is what a vast majority of people are interested in looking into.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
do you
hey,
think-
we can have these policy debates, and maybe we can jab a little bit here or there, but you know what? Like when we're calling, you know, what was it about Ted Cruz's wife? You know, like horse face or something. Like, all right, hey, man,
that's a little out of line.
You know, like.
But do you think this is Trump trying to do that? Being congenial towards...
You think he's trying to make a change? Is that what you're thinking? And when he's using words like "sanctimonious," no.
Well, no,
I
I'm
don't
talking
think so.
about what he's talking about with Gavin Newsom. Like, it'd be easy for Trump to attack him because he's the...
Well, they're talking about he may be the hidden runner.
See, what I think is Trump's biggest issue, and this is the entire time he was president, and I still think it's the same issue, is he's got good instincts and he's got a couple of good, like Kash Patel. I like Kash Patel a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. However, the vast majority of Trump's kind of inner circle when it comes to campaign and that kind of stuff, I just don't think they're very good. And I don't think they have great ideas. So whoever came to him and said, hey, look, we're just going to make this interview on Tucker, the most watched cable news program,
Right.
about policy. Because when Trump just talks policy, again, he's spot on with identifying the issues. And it's good. And he knows enough about all these issues to be able to really, hey, here, boom, 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 boom. Like the foreign policy stuff. Now, I will say,
What's up, Kev?
The problem with the Ukraine stuff that he brings up is he's also ran around for a few years talking about, oh yeah, well we armed Ukraine with javelins and this and that. And I'm like, all right, well I don't think you're making the point you think you're making. Right. So, anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, Sandra. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, you like a good shit show, you like a good dumpster fire, you want somebody in there that's a wrecking ball, and he has the luxury at this point, he really does, of having been in there 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he has that experience, and he has the potential, if he becomes the nominee.
Well, and what he's doing rightly right now is running on all the good stuff. The immigration, the foreign policy, some of the economics, those types of things.
Well, yeah.
Now, when it really gets hot and heavy, I think probably the fall is when we'll start to see really get hot and heavy. You'll have everybody that's going to announce. All right, and by that point, you'll have Ron DeSantis in.
Yeah.
Right, and we're rolling close to debates. You'll start to see when again, the first 3 years of Trump's presidency and the overall foreign policy, unbelievable. The first 3 years, you can pick and choose, like, all right, hey, you did this, but you just hired the wrong people. And that's cool, I understand. It takes a few years to figure it out.
Right.
However,
fourth year.
That last year was really bad.
Yep.
And someone's going to have to force him into talking about that. Someone's going to have to force him into
that's how
well,
you
if
do
you're
it.
an opponent of Trump in a primary, that's what you do.
Right. But who in the primary right now Like, let's just assume DeSantis is in. You got Asa Hutchinson, you got Mike Pompeo, you got Nikki Haley, you got
That
Vivek
tech guy,
Ramaswamy,
yeah.
and you got Donald Trump. Okay, and there'll be more that come in, I'm sure. Okay, but who can force him into that corner to answer questions about COVID and Fauci and Operation Warp Speed? There's only one guy.
It's DeSantis.
Okay, and for me, again, I've said this shit for close to 2 years now. I'm not anti-Trump, but if Trump wants my vote, we have to reconcile this.
Kat said that Tim Scott just announced.
Tim Scott. But so yeah, if Tim Scott makes it to Iowa, I'll be shocked.
Right.
He might because he's never mind. But
So, but you could look back at the debates from Trump's first run. You talk about middle school. I mean, half of what Trump did in those debates, I mean, was equating to a not even middle school or elementary school. You just calling everybody a duty head. You know, I mean, that was his debate style.
Right. But the climate in 2016, Republicans wanted somebody to go fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, and it still is the surrender caucus. However, the entire, like, how many Obamacare bills or repeal of Obamacare bills were passed in the no.
That was passed?
From 2010 to 2016, it was like 50. Of course, it was going to die when it got to Obama's desk.
Right.
The second that we got House, Senate, and the presidency, and we could have done it
for 2 years.
For 2 years,
nothing happened.
Nothing.
Right? And so,
and that's what everybody literally ran on to get those majorities.
Right. And so when you see Ron DeSantis being, you know, a little punchy and going directly after these folks, that is because of Trump in 2016. Because we wanted a fighter.
Yeah.
And in 2016, I wanted somebody to stand up there and make fun of that person. Hey, you guys have to go fight.
Look, I don't mind you making fun of somebody. I mean, that shit's funny. It makes it entertaining. That's fun. But the thing is when you have policy that can be criticized, whoever you're making fun of should legitimately in a debate be able to bust your ass on that stuff.
Right. Well, and now Trump has a record.
Right.
Then he didn't have a record. And what we, again, I don't mind the going below the belt. I don't mind, but you know, like the stuff about folks' wives. Hey man, I'm not.
That's off limits.
Well, I think the Democrats were very successful in promoting that Trump, the environment in which you got the worst of Trump.
Right.
And it caused the whole idea of Trump fatigue now.
Yeah.
Like Trump didn't do a lot of that. They created an environment. They edited his videos. They portrayed him in a certain way. They own the airways, so that's all you saw.
Yeah, but
Trump's reaction
he did
to
call
that
Marco
kinda,
Rubio Little Marco.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about the
sleepy jab,
but after the primary,
right?
I'm talking about when he in his Hillary debate and after he was elected. They created an environment in which Trump had to fight for everything.
Yeah.
Even though we owned the House and the Senate the first 2 years, Trump had to literally fight.
Well, he was fighting Republicans then too. The establishment, Paul Ryan.
Yes, but the Trump fatigue is partly because of Trump and the way he acts, but it's mostly the way he's been portrayed and limelighted by the left.
Okay.
And Trump didn't do anything to help himself during that time.
I'm going to partially disagree with you. I'm not totally disagreeing with you. When he's on Truth Social last week, going on and on about Stormy, quote, horseface Daniels, hey, dude, you banged her. You calling her a horseface really isn't the dig you think it is.
No.
You're actually, why are you banging horseface chicks when you're one of the richest dudes on earth and married to a supermodel?
Not even
banging anything.
Not only was he banging her, he was paying to bang her.
Yeah.
He was paying for the privilege.
So,
he paid for the privilege.
Like, I don't think you calling her names has the effect you want.
Right.
Right. Like, for anybody that's actually looking at it, like, all right, well, I mean, you know, I didn't quite understand. Like, they're
hey, listen, I'm not divorcing Trump from the entire situation, but what I'm saying is, if it was just Trump and what Trump did, I think the fatigue wouldn't be there.
Right.
I think the sensationalism and the the kind of framing and even taking things out of context to paint the picture has created a situation where, in a lot of people's eyes, especially the middle of the road people, might be thinking, I can't do another 4 years of Trump.
No, and I also think that,
when in reality, if we had another 4 years of Trump, especially a Trump revenge tour, would probably be the best thing that happened in this country.
yeah, as long as we can situate COVID, that's all.
That's it.
Operation.
Well, we're out of time. We have this Bobby Kennedy interview that we won't comment on, but we think it's a good way to kind of close out, or this Bobby Kennedy speech at
Hillsdale.
Hillsdale. Oh yeah. But we want to thank you for watching the cast, and definitely feel free to share it. Please share it. I mean, we're Shadow Band. Also, if you're interested in some new merch, the Be a Hero merch apparel line launched last Thursday. It's a really cool shirt, man. You might want to go check it out because we should be our own heroes. There's no doubt about that. So be your own hero. Watch this. This will pump you up for it. And we'll see you next time on the Driveway. Let me cue it up. Driveway Liberty Podcast.
And I'll leave you with 3 thoughts. One is that any power that government takes from the people, it will never return voluntarily. Number 2 rule, every power that government takes, it will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible.
You are so awesome.
And I'll leave you with 3 thoughts. One is that any power that government takes from the people, it will